Many chess fans expect brilliant sacrifices when a grandmaster wins a chess game. However, in this game, played in the year 2010 by Magnus Carlsen versus former world chess champion Topalov, Magnus Carlsen is able to win this game by playing almost entirely quiet positional moves. And there's a lot of content that we can take from this video and apply to our own chess to improve our understanding of positional chess to use it to win more chess games. So now we'll get started and try to uncover the positional secrets that Magnus Carlsen uses to quietly destroy grandmasters. Specifically, I'm going to pause on 15 different moves of this game to explain the positional concepts behind them and the reasoning so that you can take those concepts and apply them to your own chess games. Now, this game starts with a Rui Lopez opening, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on the opening because, of course, the purpose of this video is positional concepts. And in this position, Magnus Carlsen plays the first positional move of the game, pawn a4. Now, what is the idea behind pawn a4 and when should you play it? First of all, you should play pawn a4 when you have a bishop or a queen that controls the a4 square. Because what you're doing is you're asking questions and you're saying, do you want my rook to become better or do you want my bishop to become better? Because of course, if they castle, you can capture here because the rook is hanging. So they cannot simply play a move like castling here. So if we go back, what else can they play? If they take, now your bishop becomes stronger and you have a 0.71 advantage already in the opening because your bishop is now pinning this knight, which forces them to waste a move by playing a move like bishop d7, which gives you a slight tempo. And now you may look at this and say, well, of course, alternatively, they could play a move like bishop b7 to try and hold everything because now when you capture, they will take back with the bishop, but you won't just simply capture. Now you'll play a move like knight c3, adding pressure to this pawn. Of course, if they take, our bishop becomes stronger, so they may push and go down this sample line, and there's no problems with this line, but your bishop is strong and there's no real issues here. So in the game, they actually played this move rook b8, and Magnus now takes and plays this move knight bd2, and here's the second move I want to talk about, rook e1. Now, why is rook e1 a great positional move? Because it looks like you're putting a rook behind a pawn, and to many beginners this may seem strange, but the reason you play a move like rook e1 almost automatically is because what you're doing is you're signaling to your opponent that I want to break in the center at some point. Because when you break in the center, this rook will be covering this pawn in all lines. So at some point later on in the game, you'll be able to do a central pawn break because of the move rook e1. Now the game continues, and c3, another great move, because this move controls the knight here, and also signals again that we want to break with d4. As the game continues here, now Magnus plays d4 and has broken open the center. Now he plays this move knight f1. Now this move may look strange to you, but the move knight f1 is great because he's rerouting the knight to the g3 square, which is a better square for the knight, but he's also opening up this bishop. So this is a positional concept where you want to put your pieces exactly where you want them and develop all your pieces. So although it looks like he's undeveloping his knight here, he is actually opening up the bishop and preparing to put his knight on the square that he wants it to be on. So the game continues here, and he now plays knight g3, and now knight h4. Now, knight h4 looks very strange, and this is a positional concept that I think a lot of us can learn from. This whole like knight rerouting sequence is now allowing him to potentially put his knight on f5. Because if the queen just moves or they play any random move, Magnus would simply play knight f5, and even if they capture down here, he now has the bishop pair removed. He's also attacking the other bishop, and his knight is on a very, very strong square and is on their side of the board. So Magnus is slowly putting his pieces exactly where he wants them. Now, in the game, that didn't happen because they actually played this move bishop f8. So instead of going here now, Magnus plays a great move. Try and spot this move yourself, but I think this is an excellent positional move that teaches us a lot about positional chess. Because in this position, Magnus plays knight g6. Now, they cannot capture here because the pawn is pinned to the king. And what is the great idea behind this move, knight g6? Why is it so great? Because he's not really threatening anything, right? That is wrong, because he's actually threatening to remove the black bishop pair. Now, if you're new to chess, I want to say that the bishop pair is especially strong. Many people try to like debate which is stronger, the bishop or the knight, but the bishop pair is a clear strength in a lot of positions. So what many players try to do is get rid of the bishop pair. So he's already threatening to take this bishop, and actually the bishop cannot be saved because even if they move it here, of course, he would still just capture it. So his opponent now plays this move knight a5, saying, okay, you want my bishop, well, I want yours. But Magnus takes the bishop. Now, you may look at this and say, okay, well, can't they just take back? Can't they take our bishop? But now Magnus actually has an in-between move, a tactical move. He can take here on d7. Now, why does this work? Magnus is up 3 points of material, but you may say, okay, well, I'll capture back. Well, now I take this knight, and I'm still up 3 points of material. And you'll say, okay, well, I'll take the bishop first. But this is the idea behind the tactical sequence, because now he can take this knight with check. They have to capture back, and now Magnus takes here. No matter what they do, Magnus is up 3 points of material. So his opponent instead is actually forced to capture the knight and now give up the bishop pair. Now Magnus plays bishop c2. I think this is a very good move too, because he's trying to keep his bishops alive here. And what he's also doing, the hidden idea behind this move, is he's making this knight bad. Because knights on the rim are dim, is the saying, because they don't control as many squares. If we compare how many squares our knights are controlling, of course, this one's not a great example, because if it was on f3, it'd be a better example. Let's say the knight's on f3. It's controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. Versus this knight is only controlling 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So the knight on the rim is a very dim piece. That's why he plays bishop c2. Now the game continues, and queen d3. Queen d3 is a great positional move, because what can he play in this position? If we go back here, queen d3 is actually almost automatic. And why is it automatic to some stronger players? It's automatic because in a position where you're not entirely sure what you should do, you should instead look for creating tactical opportunities like batteries. This is a battery with the queen and the bishop here, which may become very useful if this diagonal is ever open. So you can often create these tactical opportunities by making slow positional moves. The game continues, bishop f4, and now let's just pause here and let's look at the positional differences. Magnus has all of his pieces on great squares. They're controlling the center of the board, his pawns are controlling the center of the board, and all of his pieces are very well placed. Meanwhile, if we look at Black's side, Black has a knight on the rim, this queen is not doing that much, and these other pieces are okay. So it's very clear that Magnus has a strong positional advantage already. The game continues, knight c4, and now Magnus plays bishop c1, which is a slight inaccuracy. He's doing this to try and control the b2 pawn, because of course they're threatening to capture it, and keeping his bishops alive where they're looking at the king side. But he actually probably should have went with this line, because now after bishop c1, it's very similar, but of course now this knight is also on the rim, and this pawn is covered, and of course white still has the bishop paired, black actually has no bishop. But it's a very slight difference, because Magnus instead now plays this move, bishop c1, as I said, and here rook f1, he's just simply improving his pieces. Magnus never stops improving his pieces, because in positional chess, just because you get to a middle game does not mean you should stop improving your pieces. Always look where you can put your pieces on better squares. So rook f1 is very simple, just looking at the king side. They capture, and Magnus has full control of the center, and now h3 is played, and now b3, kicking the pieces away. Now, of course, he doesn't move away, as I just showed. He doesn't play a move like knight b6. Of course, knight a5 is obviously not good because the knight is on the rim again. So instead, his opponent plays this tricky move, queen a5. Now, you might look at this and say, oh, that's a free piece. But it's not the best move to capture this piece, and Magnus shows why. He actually plays this move, king h2, which is the best move, but let me first show you guys why this is the best move. Because if you capture here thinking, I just want a free piece, they take back, and notice now they're going to win some material. And after this sample line, which is the best line that you can play for white here, where these pieces are traded off, although you still have an advantage and are up 1.7 according to the engine, you still have central control, you still have the bishop pair, it seems okay, but you don't want to do this, and Magnus doesn't do this, because if we compare this to the alternative that I just showed you, Magnus's pieces are so well placed, they're so well coordinated, he's up 3.38 according to the engine, despite not capturing this knight. Because his pieces are so well placed, you don't want to trade them away. Magnus has spent this entire game slowly creating these positional advantages, so why would you want to simply get rid of them? So he plays king h2, and now again, if we look at it, black's pieces are so oddly placed, which is why king h2 just makes so much sense. Now they go knight h7, and now he plays this move e5, a well-placed move, a well-timed move, because now he is attacking here and threatening to capture this knight because of the battery that we talked about much earlier. So his opponent plays g6, Magnus plays d5, another great move because he's attacking the bishop, and if the bishop were to move, you can now play e6, another great positional move because you're adding so many pieces to this kingside attack, and if they capture, this is actually going to be a forced checkmate. So they cannot capture that way. So instead, his opponent now in this position here plays another move, knight takes e5, and it seems like Magnus's positional advantages are starting to dwindle because they're attacking the queen, and once we move, if we just move away, we no longer have the strong battery. Actually, we're losing according to the engine. So Magnus plays the stunning move, pawn takes e6. Now, I told you guys, he played mostly quiet positional moves. I didn't say there was going to be a brilliant move at the end of this game, and this is actually where the game ends. But let me explain to you guys why this move works and why this move was even available, and you will understand why positional chess is so powerful. Because first of all, let's look at the obvious. If they capture the queen here, he will take with check, and after the king moves, he will take with check. After the king moves, he takes with check, and now picks up the knight, and Magnus is up 2 points of material and has a clear advantage. He is up 6.76 according to the engine. His pieces are so well placed. If we compare it to black, this knight really cannot move at all and also has to cover this square from the rook check with this bishop supporting it, and their queen is not doing much either. This is why Magnus would have such a big advantage in this position if his opponent played on. Now we'll look at some of the alternative lines. If they take with the pawn, Magnus could just take on d6. The knight is hanging here, so if the knight jumps back, queen d7 would attack the rook here. And after they move, this is also actually a forced mating line. You may say, how is this a forced mating line? Well, of course, we have a ton of pressure on this knight here. And if the knight simply moves away, let's say they go to knight g5, you can actually take on g5 because if they capture here, of course, this is a forced mate. And alternatively, if they take with the knight, you would just take the rook and go down a line. I think it's this check, and then this is a checkmate as well. And the last option that black actually had after this move was to take with the rook. This is the best move they can play. White is still up. They're still up 4 points of material, but now Magnus would play queen d4. He probably would play this, I would assume. Queen d4 is the best positional move. Now we're attacking this pawn on h5, so they have to cover it on h6. They have to cover it by playing a move like h5. But now Magnus would play bishop b2, which is another principle. Now, this did not happen in the game. I want to say that. But this is probably a line that Magnus would have found. And the reason this line is so strong and why White has such a big advantage, a 4-point advantage, despite only being up 1 pawn, is because the knight can never move. Because if the knight moves, this is checkmate in 1. And if this knight cannot move, it's almost as if the knight is out of the game. I don't want to speculate too much on what would have happened if this line went down, because this, of course, did not happen in the game, so I don't want to speculate too much. But, of course, Magnus won this game with this brilliant sacrifice. Now, why am I showing a brilliant sacrifice if I'm talking about positional chess? I'm showing the sacrifice because the whole basis of positional chess is creating these slow advantages by improving your pieces, by coordinating your pieces, and slowly controlling the position. And when you do that, when you learn to play with positional chess, these tactical opportunities and these brilliant sacrifices do actually show themselves because your pieces are so well coordinated, it is inevitable that you will have a very strong attack because of the slow advantage that you've slowly accumulated throughout the game. Please let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this video. Let me know if it did help improve your chess. Let me know what you guys would like to see in the next video. Please consider giving this video a like if you did enjoy it. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, I would love to have you guys. Thank you all so much for watching.